according to those gentlemen there, saying that Trump is a threat to democracy is violent rhetoric, but Trump saying, let's just have one really violent day, that is not violent rhetoric?
No, he didn't say one violent day. That's not even what he said. But let's be honest about what he actually said.
Can we
play it again.
Trump again?
Play it again, because he didn't even say that. But go ahead.
Can we play it again?
I want to hear it.
All these stores go out of business, right? They don't pay rent. The city doesn't have money. It's a chain of events that's so bad. One rough hour, and I mean real rough, the word will get out and it will end immediately. End immediately. You know?
How is that not violent rhetoric?
We have to acknowledge the reality going on in every city in America.
Not answering the question. Not answering the question.
That is answering the question. Because the reality in America, hold on, Keith, the reality in America is that crime is massively up.
Crime is not massively up. That's a lie.
You can bang the table all you want, but
you're
that's
lying,
not true,
Congressman. You're lying.
We already know that there are
the FBI just released data this week that crime is going down.
We already know that.
Oh my God! Abby, why do you let this man lie on your national television like
I'm telling you the exact
truth. This is not right.
You may not
You're a liar,
you may not.
Congressman.
No, I am
You're
not.
lying.
Because you're lying to the American people now. And so I want to be respectful of what you're trying to say.
Hang on a second.
Go
If
ahead.
you would just let me talk, I will explain exactly what you want me to explain. We have the data. The FBI literally put out data today showing that crime is down this year for the first 6 months of the year. But look at the trend.
What's going on? You saw from the intro, Byron Donalds is sparring with, I don't know the guy's name, I don't really care, a CNN panelist on Abby Phillips' show about crime. And is crime is down, crime is not down. And I always ask this question to myself, crime is down compared to what? Like what year? Like you can't just say crime is down, and leave it up to interpretation. And this is my problem with the left and many people on the CNN panelists, especially if they're very left-leaning Democrat strategists or the like of. They're not very specific with their language that Byron Donalds out here fighting, no, crime is not down, because he's comparing administration to administration. If you compare Donald Trump's administration to Biden's administration, I believe crime is up compared to last administration, right? And there's some holes that, there's some glaring problems that many people have with some of the statistics is that, according to the New York Post, new FBI national crime data released with glaring holes in major cities, including New York. And this was made 2 years ago, right? But I'm using this as an example of why many people do not believe the statistics. This is during 2022. The FBI's latest statistics shows crime dropped in the U.S. last year, but the data fails to account for thousands of places, including big cities like New York and Los Angeles. Experts say that the data released as part of the Uniform Crime Report on Wednesday has some glaring holes due to an overwhelming lack of participation by police. Nearly 40% of all law enforcement agencies, including the nation's two largest cities, failed to submit any data to the feds, which reported that violent crime ticked down by about 1% across the country, from 1.3 million to 1.3 million, with a few thousands in 2021. The figures were first glimpsed at the FBI's new data collection system, this is where it gives me doubt about the FBI data, which is voluntary and has been touted for years as a much deeper look in crime in the U.S. Now, there was recent stories that the New York Post broke. Remember, I always show you the bias of the news outlet so you can have, objective look on what actually is going on. Migrant flooding, the New York City justice system making up 75% of arrests in Midtown as pathetic sanctuary laws handcuff cops. Now, in this clip I'm about to show you, here's a New York resident complaining about the fact that 100 murders happened in Manhattan and no one getting arrested because of these laws that the New York City justice system has passed. And the fact that Alvin Bragg, right, and these district attorneys, these liberal district attorneys, these Democrat district attorneys are so soft on crime that a lot of the time these crimes are not being reported. And let's take a look, and then I'll go further down to my point as Byron Donalds will be debating this guy on the panel. Let's take a look, though.
Obvious distinction, 100 murders in 466 days in office. Never before on both sides, Republican, Democrat, have you ever had 100 murders in Manhattan in 466 days. On day one, Alvin Bragg says he was not going to prosecute felonies. They give you all their fake statistics. Well, if you don't arrest nobody, statistics.
So I already showed you why I expressed my doubts about the crime is down. And his name is Keith Boykins. Scolds Byron Donalds. You're lying. He keeps yelling, you're lying, but you're not explaining how you're lying, right? When this is the difference. And I think the way I talk is the way I want the information to be broken down to me. If someone claims that, Kenny, you don't know what you're talking about inflation, I expect you to answer what inflation is then, instead of just criticizing what I have to say, right? It's just like a trash talker on the sidelines, right? You crossing up everybody. Oh, you want to do that to me when I'm on the court? Well, it's easy to say that, but it's harder to prove that. And this is what I'm talking about. Show your work. Yelling you're lying is not going to convince someone who's independent like me. It may convince. Let me show you guys before I react to this video, because I think it's important to highlight to my audience how people are perceiving the information, right? This is CNN's official, this is their official YouTube channel, 17 million subscribers. This is their actual one. So people don't say I'm looking at clips. Why does everyone have to explain what Trump says? He has access to the same words as the rest of us. Yes, but you interpret it a different way. Donald Trump said there'll be an economic bloodbath, and your network commenter here, CNN, went on to interpret it as him asking for violence on the street if he doesn't win the election. Your people did that. So it doesn't matter if Donald Trump chose different words. You would have found some way to spin it and make him into the boogeyman that you want him to be so bad. Keith Boykins expressed the way normal people feel about these lying bunch of weirdos. No. Keith Boykins only expressed what normal, I don't want to say normal, what many Democrats believe they feel about Republicans, because they've been taught, right? They've been taught by their misinformation experts, who also so happens to be Democrat like them, that Donald Trump is a liar. Republicans are liars. You cannot trust a Republican. You cannot trust a conservative, right? Look at the leanings. So that means you're a biased individual. You're a Democratic voter listening to an institution that's dominated by a political bias, who's in a positions of authority to determine what is true and what is false. And then these people cover Donald Trump in a negative light. The mainstream media taught you this. Don't sit here acting like you came to your own conclusions. This is why the left and many people on the left, this is why Democrats, these left-wing news outlets, they put out articles saying don't do your own research. This is why, because they want to control your framing. They want to control your perception, so you believe this reality. Whatever the party holds to be true is truth. It is impossible to see reality except by looking through the eyes of the party. And this is what y'all doing here in these comment section. And someone who falls outside of the eyes of the party, right? I'm an independent voter, right? These people on CNN are so dumb. This is someone who disagrees with CNN. How does anyone say that the spike was so low because the world was on lockdown? What Scott Jennings isn't the biggest liar on the table? You'll have a problem. So this guy says that everyone in here is liars. So people who don't agree with my framing of events are liars. They don't have a different alternative opinion. They don't have any valid reason not to trust the data that FBI put out, even though that the whole system, the collection of the data is purely voluntary. Now, if it was mandatory, I'll have more faith in the crime statistics that the FBI brought out. But the fact that it's voluntary, this is in the backdrop. The fact that I know that there are district DAs that do not prosecute certain crimes under a certain amount. No wonder crime is down, because your criteria for what is a crime is higher. If you steal, is it a crime or not? Answer that question for me, liberal. Answer that question for me, Democrat. Is it a crime or not? But because you don't categorize it as a crime because, oh, no, it's not that bad. Oh, no, I broke into Kenny's house. I stole his $600 laptop. It's not that bad, because we prosecute crimes if you steal more than $900. What's the incentive? Show me the incentive and I'll show you the outcome. But Keith Boykins keeps screaming, you're lying. What such weakness, bro. And you wonder why the black community ain't respected. You wonder why some black men ain't respected in this country. When you got people like Keith Boykins representing us. You're lying. This soft and feminine voice, I don't care. Bro, answer the damn question. Give some substance back. You can't just call him names. You can't just label what he's saying as false when that is just a perception. You're not making an argument. You're just trying to shame him. Pathetic. That's not convincing. And that's what I'm saying. Liberal narratives are not persuasive, because when you go into the nitty-gritty, when they actually have to defend their point, when they actually have to show their work, they fall short. But I digress. Let's get into the clip.
He says things that are unscripted. He goes off the cuff. He's not serious. There's no policy behind that. But I think where the American people truly are is they at least want to hear what somebody is thinking full-throated versus Kamala Harris, who is completely scripted, like badly scripted.
I guess I wonder,
and there's nothing coming out of her.
What is the policy then? If it's not that, then what is actually the solution?
He wants to make sure that police are supported, so they're upholding the law. In every city in our country, I was in Duane Reade last night here in New York, just trying to get razor blades so I can get a fresh shave for today. I had to press the button for the attendant to come to open up the case just so I can get a pack of razor blades. That's what's going on in every major city of America. Americans are fed up with that kind of stuff. It happens because you do have a dereliction of support for law enforcement in too many cities in America. And so there's a major angst going on amongst the American people. Donald Trump said a comment for 5 seconds. That's not setting policy. That's revealing the angst of the American people.
Donald Trump has a history of saying inflammatory things. It's not just those 5 seconds, Congressman, and you know that. He has a history that goes back from the time when he first ran for office.
Y'all have a history of making inflammatory statements as well, right? But the only difference is you guys aren't taking out any context. I can mention Maxine Waters. Go out, shove them, get in their face, right? Make them sure they know they're not welcomed. Y'all don't criticize, because end of the day, what gives your critique about someone's behavior more credibility is if when it happens on your side, you're consistent in how you apply the critique. And on the left, for too many Democratic strategists, they do not apply the critique equally. And this shows them as biased, tribalist, and very one-sided, and very narrow-minded. Because at the end of the day, conservatives believe in this very fundamental rule I think we all can agree on. It goes both ways. And if I see that it only goes one way, the criticisms always go one way, inflammatory statements only go one way, you're trying to pretend that the Democrats never said any inflammatory statements? Donald Trump got 2 assassination attempts, but that means that means Democrats are not putting out rhetoric that will castigate Donald Trump as some threat to democracy. Oh, wait, you say that all the time? We must eliminate Donald Trump. Dan Goldman from New York, I forget the guy's name, the congressman's name, right? Y'all say stuff like this, that can get taken out of context. You can perceive that as, oh, Democrat floats eliminating Trump, right? Like, this is the games y'all play. This is the narratives that I'm talking about, right? And then because you have all these experts that happens to be Democrat using their position of authority to back you up, like The Economist, right? All these liberal economics said, oh, Trump's plan will destroy the economy. But that's not been people's experience. And this is the problem where it happens when the evidence is in your face. Citizens, and I just showed you a clip of how someone in New York said that, hey, these crimes are not getting reported because they're not even arresting these people for it, because they're soft on crime DA, Alvin Bragg. Now, you have all these soft on crimes DAs that are applying a different standard than Republican DAs. They have a higher tolerance for crime than Republican DAs. You don't think that's what's influencing the crimes going down? And Byron Donalds just explained an experience point. He went to go buy something in New York, San Francisco. I know San Francisco specifically is bad. Their crime is down. And all the San Francisco residents that's watching this, they say, bullish. House crime down in San Francisco. My car got broken into. I had to leave my windows down so no one breaks into my car. A kid went to San Francisco to get ready to go to college. His parents was there for a couple seconds. Their car got broken into and all of his luggage got stolen. But crime is down. Okay. No Americans believe you. And the gaslighting that Keith Boykins is going through is turning off independent voters like me. Because I see it in my own experience, not here in Florida, because we tough on criminals. And this is what Trump is trying to imply, that police needs to have support to do their job. But are police supported in Democratic states? No. Crime is higher in Democratic states, in blue states, than in red states. And then whenever you liberals come in my conversation talking about, no, this crime is up in this state, all the crime is coming from the city in that state, and that city is blue. Bro, like, there's too many factors that highlights to me that I can't trust the FBI data purely. The same way that many Americans didn't believe the economy was doing as well. People's experience, and this is the funny part, People's experience told us, hey, the economy is not good. And all these experts, The Guardian, they came out, oh, Americans falsely believe that the economy is down. Look at all the jobs we created. Then a couple months, almost towards the election came out, oh, we had to readjust the numbers. We overcounted jobs by 818,000 jobs. What? You added 818,000 more jobs than was actually here in reality. No wonder everyone thought there was ghost jobs in the job market. Many people, many conservatives believe the same thing is happening with the crime statistics. That crimes are not getting reported or accounted for, and because of these district attorneys that are changing laws, oh, we don't prosecute felonies. We think those actions are showing those outcomes of these lax on crime policies that the Democrat DAs tend to push. That's the source of the problem. That's what's creating this outcome of lower crime. But then when people go out in a store, you got to press something, you got to wait for an attendant to come to you. Everything's locked behind a glass door. Huh? But crime is down? Cognitive dissonance. But instead of respecting that, Keith Boykins is out here calling people liars. Imagine if I call a black person because I can't prove it. You're a liar if you experience racism. People will say, oh, you should trust people's lived experience. Well, I just showed you the lived experience of a New York resident talking about how murders are happening in his district and no one's getting arrested for it. But crime is down. Okay.
All these stores go out of business, right? They don't pay rent. The city doesn't have money. It's a chain of events that's so bad. One rough hour, and I mean real rough, the word will get out and it will end immediately. End immediately. You know?
How is that not violent rhetoric?
We have to acknowledge the reality going on in every city in America.
Not answering the question. Not answering the question.
That is answering the question. Because the reality in America, hold on, Keith, the reality in America is that crime is massively up.
Crime is not massively up. That's a lie.
You can bang the table all you want, but
that's a lie. Soft dude. Ugh.
Lying, Congressman, you're lying.
We already know that there are cities.
The FBI just released data this week that crime is going down.
We already know that.
Lying with stats. Like, you can say, end of the day, the data is a lagging indicator. It shows you things that's happening in the past, but it's not going to tell you what's going to happen in the future. It's a snapshot in history, essentially, right? So, yeah, you can say crime is down, but a lot of people are having problems with the methodologies for how that data was shown. Data doesn't necessarily prove a narrative. It only proves an outcome. And the outcomes are, hey, the instances of reported crime are down. Now, I'm using very specific language because I'm trying to highlight accurately what I think the crime data is actually showing. It doesn't show you the reality of crime. It's showing you what has been reported on crime. And then when I know that district attorneys in San Francisco, New York, some of the biggest cities who happen to be liberal Democrat cities with these DAs that have a empathy for criminals, and they have a higher bar for prosecuting criminals, it makes it harder for a crime to be registered in their books. So in a way, the outcomes of their actions is actually fudging the numbers, in my view. And this is why I don't believe crime is down. Because my experience when you go through these stores in these liberal cities, the sense of anxiety people have, random women getting punched in the face because the criminals feel emboldened to try more and more violent stuff, it doesn't give the impression that crime is actually down. That's all I'm trying to speak to.
Oh my God! Why do you, Abby? Why do you let this man lie on your national television like this?
I'm telling you the exact truth.
Not right.
You may not
want.
No, I am
You're
not.
Lying.
Because you're lying to the American people now.
And
so I want to be respectful of what you're trying to say.
Hang on a second. If you would just let me talk, I will explain exactly what you want me to explain. We have the data. The FBI literally put out data today showing that crime is down this year for the first 6 months of the year. But look at the trend line. Okay, crime is down in all these different categories. And then there is a trend line that shows that crime is going down. So why?
Okay, this is the chart, because I think I can end off the video right here on this chart, because I'm not going to sit here and listen to Keith Boykins again. You see the trend line from 2016, flat, 2019, and then 2020 drop. Now, on the comment section, on the CNN comment section, many liberals, many Democrats are saying, oh, it's because of COVID that crime was down. Okay, Then after 2021, look how it went up. So all the crime that went down went right back up to the same trend line on the top, right? And 2021, that was where a lot of crime was happening, riots was happening, crime was up. It was bad. It was a bad year. And this was after the defund police train came through, right? Which probably reinvigorated crime again. And then now there goes the trend line again, which I already showed doubt about because of the fact that, hey, like certain precincts, they're not allowed, it's purely voluntary. So whatever data the police wants to give to FBI, that's what they're going to use to create this crime data. Right? The stats don't say what Boykins think it says. And I don't, honestly, I don't believe it. I don't. Crime is up compared to 2021. That's what we're trying to say. That's what Byron Donalds is trying to say. You can't just say crime is down. Crime is not down. Crime is, if anything, crime is still at the same level. Because if you look at 2015, crime is still up. Look at the charts. They flash the charts and they doing all this mess. You making all these arguments just to prove Byron Donalds' point. Crime is up from 2015. Crime is up from 2016. Now, 2016, it starts flatlining up here, 2017. Then you can say, oh, crime is down 2017. Crime is down compared to 2018. But crime is up compared to 2021. Crime is up compared to 2020. Make it make sense. But when you say all this, oh, crime is down compared to what? Compared to last year? I think that's what they're trying to say. But then look at the reporting requirements. 40%, like, come on, look at the DAs. Data does not prove a narrative. It proves an outcome. And the outcomes are in that the DAs, they're lax on crime policies. And this is what Donald Trump was talking about. We got to be tougher on crime. We have to have less tolerance for crime. We have to have less leeway for crime. And it's going to go up if we do that. You think if you take out those requirements for, hey, you only can get charged with crime if you stole more than $950, you think if we lower that, will crime go up? Yes. Because those offenses will be tracked as a crime. And this goes back to the word games that I think the Democrats like to play, that Keith Boykins like to play, is that if you call this a cat, does it suddenly become a cat? No, it doesn't. Just because I call it that, just because I categorize this thing here in my face as a cat does not make it a cat. And this is what's going on with the crime. Does stealing a razor constitute a crime? Well, it depends. According to New York, if it's worth less than $900, I don't get prosecuted. It's not a crime. But we all know that's a crime. Stealing stuff from a store is a crime, no matter how little or how much it is. But the threshold for what constitutes a crime is a legal question. And all you're showing me is the results of that legal question. That's all I see here. Because your data doesn't prove a narrative. It just proves an outcome to me. Oh, these are the outcomes of liberal cities being lenient on crime. Crime gets reported less. That's what your data is showing me. So it's not proving this narrative that crime is down. You're lying. Like, that doesn't help your argument. This is why I can't stand this. Look, this is one of the reasons. Like, Keith Boykins remind me of a lot of Democrats that literally, like, they used to terrorize me, bro, as a kid. That's what he reminds me of, because they'll sit here, gaslight you, make you doubt what you think, and then when you just sit there and you just look at what they're saying, you're gonna go, yo, I'm not asking the right questions because you're not answering them, Keith.
Why do you continue to say that?
I do think, though, in some
I'll
place.
let you get in, but I do want the congressman to answer that question.
Please.
If you look at crime rates in the United States since the pandemic to this current period in time, crime is up.
Okay,
Boom. And then look at his face. You can't look. This is what I'm talking about. Y'all live in an echo chamber. Y'all can't take someone else's perspective on it. What he said was false? Yes or no? No, it wasn't. Compared to 2020, which is the same argument I did, crime is up.
Over the years, crime is up.
Congressman,
violent crime
Look at
is
the
down.
look at
chart.
the chart.
I'm looking right now.
Okay?
I'm looking right
Crime
now.
is on its way down. It has not returned to pre-pandemic levels yet, but it is trending down.
Well,
That is a
I'm
fact.
looking at your
Yet.
chart right now. 2021 is when Joe Biden and Kamala Harris came into office. Look at that spike up in violent crime. What Donald Trump?
Do you
hold on,
see
Abby,
where?
but
Do
this
you
isn't-
see where it went after
Abby,
2021?
Abby,
it is
this is
going
important. This is important. But
I don't
We
understand
know
why
what
you
This is
don't-
really
but
important.
No,
If
crime,
you
is,
want-
crime is going down. And
Put the
historic-
chart back
and
up.
it-
Put the chart back up.
Put it back up. Crime.
Look at
where it's going.
2021.
Oh, look, this-
You see, but they can't refute Byron's point. He's pointing to a specific time and say, look, compared to 2021, you're up. Your crime is still up. Even if it's trending down, it's still up compared to 2020. He's making an administrative point. Hey, to compare Trump's administration to Biden's administration. Right? Now, people try to make context or try to give their interpretation or their theories for why crime went down. Oh, it was during the pandemic. Who was out during the pandemic? Well, you'd be surprised. A lot of people was out during the pandemic. You forgot the BLM riots? That happened during the pandemic. People were allowed to riot in the street and not get COVID, but if you went to church, the police was going to shut you down. If you went to the gym, people was going to shut you down. Like, make it make sense. But hey, that was 2020. So people using the pandemic as an excuse for why crime is down, I don't think it tells the full picture. End of the day, if you look at it, FBI get their data from the police proceedings. I already told you about the DAs. The criteria for what is a crime is higher in blue states than in red states. Red states are less tolerant of crime. Blue states are more tolerant in crime. That's why there's tend to be more crime in blue states than red states. That's a fact. That's empirical evidence. So when she's talking about this trend line going down, I'm like, yo, that's a false narrative you're trying to push. You're lying with stats. This is how you lie with stats. Because what you're actually saying, that what your data is actually saying is reported crime is going down. Because you changed the standards. People getting punched in the face, assaulted in the streets, and they're not getting charged with crime. And that data is bubbling up to the FBI and saying, oh, look, crime is down. But look at your experience. It don't feel that way. But I digress. I think I went on a long tangent there. I wasn't supposed to go this long, but I digress. I appreciate you guys watching to the end of the video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts of how Byron Donalds did. Do you believe the FBI data? Do you think I'm a conspiracy theorist? Or do you actually understand where I'm coming from? And I articulated what Byron Donalds is trying to express, what many people in America feels are trying to express, especially when we know that policing is not as encouraged in blue cities as it used to be. I'll let you know. I'll let you simmer on that. Let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.